Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome into a Monday evening edition of the Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. It's been roughly 6 days since we have been live behind the microphone, and I am super stoked to be back with the people today. We had a nice hiatus on our bachelor party. We'll talk about that in a second, but nonetheless, amped to be back on the airwaves. We remind the people, youtube.com/the Romanellas. That's youtube.com/the Romanellas. Twitter, X, and Instagram. TwitterX.com, Instagram.com, The Rome Show 1. Pretty simple. The Rome Show, then the number 1. And Facebook.com/The Rome Show. So many ways to get involved. The Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcast. No bigger news than the one coming out of East Rutherford, New Jersey, which is where we will start today. And we will make this a straight off the Rome. It happened sometime this afternoon, but the Giants have fired Brian Daboll, head coach for the last 3+ seasons. Brian Daboll finishes his tenure with the New York Football Giants with a record of 20-40-1. If you take a look at the screen, this is the statement by the New York Football Giants brass. It reads, the New York Giants announced today that head coach Brian Daboll has been relieved of his duties. Assistant head coach, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will serve as the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. We spoke this morning about the direction of our franchise on the field, and we have decided at this time it is in our best interest to make a change at the head coaching position. President John Mara and Chairman Steve Tisch said in a joint statement. They continued, the past few seasons have been nothing short of disappointing, and we have not met our expectations for this franchise. We understand the frustrations of our fans, and we will work to deliver a significantly improved product. We appreciate Coach Daboll for his contributions to our organization, and we wish the Daboll family all the best in the future. From the New York Football Giants. During the 2025 season, the New York Giants have held 4 leads of 10 or more points, as showed on your screen. The first one was a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left to the Chicago Bears. The second was the atrocious loss to the Denver Broncos, giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter. The third, what should have been a win against the New Orleans Saints, became a loss, and then against the Dallas Cowboys, if you remember or don't remember, early on in the season. 4 games so far this season, 10-point lead or greater, and the New York Football Giants have lost those games. There's been a lot of conversation here. Was this the right time? Is this the right move? X, Y, and Z, because of how much Jackson Dart loves him, what their relationship is, all of these other things. At the end of the day, if what you're doing is not resulting in success for your franchise, and on top of that, it's not resulting in success, and the lack of success is clear and obvious, pointing back to a not very well coached team, you can only keep this going for so long. If you keep Brian Daboll in this role, it is the definition of insanity. Continuing to do the same things over and over and over again, expecting the same result. That's what's gone on here with the New York Football Giants. You've witnessed terrible fourth quarter play. You've witnessed bad defensive play calling decisions. You've witnessed poor handling of the quarterback, poor handling of the clock management. You only point back to the guy making all of the decisions. Now that you've gotten rid of your head coach, a few questions come to surface. The first one being, how much do you trust your general manager? Is Joe Schoen the guy? Because Schoen was the guy that brought Daboll in with him from Buffalo. This was a package deal. And now him and the owners are deciding this isn't the head coach moving forward. And all the reports you're reading are, but they really like Joe Schoen. Well, what is it then? Is he a good general manager or is he not? Because if we like Joe Schoen and we believe he's the right general manager, then you believe you have the right talent on the roster. Then you believe that it's truly one person hindering this team from reaching its true potential. Now, that is to be determined. How good your talent is to be determined. Okay? You'll learn a lot in the next 7 weeks. Was it a Daboll problem? Was it a talent problem? Was it both? Did we make the right firing? Probably, but you never know. And it's, again, another scenario in the last 10 years where the New York Football Giants are looking for a head coach. And so the real change that needs to come here, in my opinion, is from the top down, is from ownership down. There's clearly something in the water here, ownership-wise. In the highest C-level suites of this organization, that is not working. It's not working. Whether it's from Mara, whether it's from Tisch, whether it's Mara, Tisch, and Schoen, this has been the same thing for 10 years. There has been no adjustability for this franchise in 10 years. So unfortunately, do I think it's the right decision? Yes. Should he have been let go? Yes. But do I think it changes the franchise? My verdict is still out. And right now, I think that could be a no. Because I don't know if the franchise is set up to be successful. I don't know if the leadership above the head coach, above the general manager, is set up to be a successful franchise. We talk about this all the time on this show, but to me, that's the most important thing. A fish rots from its head down. It stinks from its head down. So does your organization. If your organization is poorly run, look at the top first. And despite the successes of the late 80s, 90s, some of them in 2000s, despite all of those successes, this franchise has not been elite since 2011. And I wouldn't even say that they were elite in 2011. They won games at the right time. But it has been a long time since the New York Football Giants lived up to the level of respect given to their name because of who they are. It's been a while. You know, for about 4 or 5 years after that 11 Super Bowl, you kind of lived off the fact that they had won a Super Bowl in 07. They won a Super Bowl in 11. They went to the Super Bowl in 2000. They won a few in the 90s. Like, when you look at that stretch of 20 years, you're like, damn, this is a good franchise. So there was some leeway there through the benching Eli Manning, starting Geno Smith. This head coach sucks. This head coach sucks. This head coach sucks. Hiring a guy that was a special teams coordinator from the Patriots. What a joke that was. You get a little leeway, but after a while, you're just a bad franchise. And unfortunately for the Giants fan right now, they are a bad franchise. And until they start doing things that is not like a bad franchise, it's going to feel that way. So no level of head coach probably can really be the difference maker here. The second question is, who is that guy? Who's available? Who's the right decision? Are you going to retread tires here, or are we going to go after somebody maybe new, refreshed, and maybe we need that for this organization? You know? And by the way, don't rule out that old Bill Belichick guy. Don't rule out Billy Belichick, okay? We all talked about how we thought Belichick might be going to college to keep himself in football to get another opportunity in the NFL. Now, has he ruined his stock at North Carolina? Possibly. But what a fun reunion that would be. Where his career started, where he got his name, won his Super Bowls with Bill Parcells. How great would it be if the last opportunity for Bill Belichick in the league was the New York Football Giants? I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying, as a radio talking head, I'd be very, very entertained. But the Giants need to figure some stuff out here. And I truly do not believe it is just a head coach decision. There's a lot that needs to be adjusted in this organization. A lot. And we'll see on Sunday what type of response this team has. Because if you look at what happened with the Dolphins over the weekend, it's only going one way or the other. Your team's either more bought in because they agree with the decision and it revitalizes them, or they're the Penn State Nittany Lions, who Penn State fires James Franklin after 3 straight losses. I don't think that they thought the season was going to fully turn around, but I don't think that they thought they'd continue losing 3 more and 6 total. That probably tells you how disappointed those players were to find out their head coach was fired. Doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. Doesn't mean it wasn't what Penn State needed to do. But the way the next few games play out when these things happen tell you a lot about a franchise, tell you a lot about the players in the locker room, tell you a lot about a lot of things. And it is learning time with the New York Football Giants. And their general manager, who's since saved his job, Joe Schoen, to see if he's actually the right guy. But I think Giants fans are rejoicing today over this decision. And I want them to just pump their brakes really quickly. Though, if they agree with it and they're pumped about it, and it's probably the right decision, they should be excited. There's so much more than just the head coach that probably needs to be adjusted to wash off 15 years of stink. This isn't, we won a Super Bowl in 2020, and now it's 2025. It's been since 2011 that we've been relevant outside of like 1 season, maybe 2. That's a long time for one of the most storied franchises in the National Football League. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Come back. We'll go weekend in review. Best, worst, all the games that happened on Sunday. Can't wait for it. You stay with us here on The Rome Show, getting you ready for Monday Night Football. It's the Monday evening special. We've been doing it for 10 weeks now. Get on the same page. If you're not, flip the page, and then we'll be there waiting for you after this commercial break. Andrew Romanella, back after this.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
What's up, peoples? It's The Rome Show, broadcasting live on youtube.com/The Romanellas, Twitter X, Instagram, The Rome Show 1, Facebook, The Rome Show. So many places to get the show. Comment live on YouTube, comment live on Instagram, comment live on Twitter. You know the drill. Get in on the action. It is that time. We go with the weekend's best and the weekend's worst. It's very exciting time for us here in the studio. Oh, yeah. Let's start with some best here for the people. Okay. And here's what I got. All right. I got 2 weekends best. Okay. 1. All right. Joe Burrow. I did not know that it was a possibility that Joe Burrow was coming back for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I don't know if this is a real thing. I don't know if this is Joe Burrow trying to spark his boys, but the Bengals sit at 3-6 right now. They're losers of 2 straight. Joe Flacco is 1-2 as the starting quarterback, and it doesn't look good. The Bengals have given up the most points in the National Football League by a long shot. They're the only team so far through 10 weeks to have already given up 300 points. So 30 points per game. This Bengals defense is giving up. I don't know if any resemblance of Joe Burrow can fix that, but I do know that a jolt of believing Joe Burrow could come back by Thanksgiving could really ignite this ball. That's 2 weeks from now. Okay. So you're like, okay, well, if we can go to be 4 and maybe 7 by the time that he gets back, we maybe have a chance here in the AFC. When you look at the playoff standings, it is very far-fetched, but it's not the farthest fetch because the 7th place playoff position team right now is 5-4, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Whereas the Bengals are third to last at 3-6, only 2 games back. So though we want to believe it is far-fetched, probably because Joe Flacco is the quarterback and the defense is so bad, if Joe Burrow comes back in 2 weeks and somehow the Bengals can get a win in one of their 2 weeks, it's a different conversation for the rest of the season. But regardless of that Joe Burrow conversation, that defense needs to get better. But it is a very great feeling for this Bengals team to know that guy's back on the practice field. Your weekend's best number 1, Joe Burrow. Your second weekend's best goes to the New York Jetropolitans, baby. And the New Orleans Saints. 2 one-win teams that this weekend won. And not just one. We all thought these teams were terrible. I mean, I don't know about you, but the Panthers are on the rise. They're 5-4 going into this game. The Saints are on their second week of starting Tyler Shugg, and it clicked. They played good football. Shugg looked pretty good. The Panthers looked terrible. And a team that you thought was arguably one of the worst teams in the league comes out with a great victory. In the Meadowlands, same thing happened as the Jets defeated the lowly Cleveland Browns. Justin Fields played pretty good football. Breece Hall ran like an animal. And the Jets got their second win of the year and their second win in 3 games. To me, when you have a season that is lost by week 8, week 7, there's usually not a lot of motivation in those locker rooms. Then the Jets go sell city and they play better the weekend coming out of the trade deadline. That, to me, is arguably the most important thing for a Jets fan. They clearly believe in Aaron Glenn. They clearly like what's going on in that locker room. Yes, they beat a bad team, but so what? Because people were talking about how they were the worst team in the league. So if they're the worst team in the league, they should have lost to the Browns, who have one of the better defenses. They didn't. So the New York Jetropolitans linked on with the Saints, 2 one-win teams, getting some victories this weekend. Yeah, you are. But unfortunately, not all is good over the weekend. And as we talked about, we don't need to go into this. We already talked about it. But your first of the weekend is Brian Daboll. He was fired. We mentioned the statistics. Kafka is now the interim head coach. We'll find out. The second weekend's worst goes to former Cleveland Guardians pitcher. Well, not a pitcher anymore. Now indicted. That would be Luis Ortiz, who wild story here. I'm going to try and keep it short. Bottom line is he was giving bettors information on pitching props. So essentially, if this fastball would be over or under 94.5 miles per hour, will this pitch be a ball? Will this pitch not be a ball? Some dude made over $400,000 betting the Luis Ortiz pitching props. Well, in response to this story, which has been a crazy story, on top of the NBA story about Chauncey Billups and the essentially the Sopranos running a gambling ring, the MLB and sports books they put a limit on pitching props. because of this. So now you can only bet up to $200 on a singular pitch prop moving forward to hopefully avoid these crazy situations. But again, for another year, we hear this stupid gambling stuff with some of these pro athletes. And it's like, what are we doing here? You're a professional athlete. You're the highest of the high. You're making the most money out of everybody. What are we doing? It's wild to me. But apparently that little bit of a comeback, whatever money you're getting back for these stupid decisions, the new age version of the Black Sox scandal, it is what it is. But I'll tell you what, baseball, smart decision in going directly to the sports book and saying, what can we do here? It's not going to stop. It's never stopped. I made this rant last week, Rome Show Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Gambling in sports has been going on for over 200 years. This is nothing new. Social media tells you about it. The legalization of it really changes things because now you can regulate it. And it feels like we have a problem here. You don't have a problem. You've had a problem. You're just finding out where the problem lies. That's really what's going on here. I know people don't want to believe that, but that's the truth. That is the truth. 15 years ago, this same thing probably went on. It just wasn't online. There was no account linked to it because it was illegal. So you were winning illegally. It was a twofer. Now it's a one-fer. It's only illegal because I'm playing the sport, not because I can't do it. So for me, what's happening now is you're just exposing what's always gone on, but it's quicker to expose and it's a lot more extreme because the sports leagues are in bed with the betting books, and that makes plenty of sense. So what a wild story out of Cleveland. Moral here is if you're making millions of dollars, be okay with it. Just be okay with it. Oh, I missed one weekend's best, so let me get the sounder one more time. Yeah, I am. And you know who's simply the best? The Miami freaking Dolphins, baby. Woo! How about that? Big victory over the weekend for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, I'm serious, man. I have never been on more of a roller coaster with a team than I have in the last 6 years with this football team. It's insanely frustrating sometimes. It's off the charts fun sometimes. I went to workouts with my team today and I said, I hate this football team. And they're like, Coach, you finally won. I hate this football team. This is a stupid football team. But it's not that I really hate them. It's not that I'm relinquishing my fanship. It's that it's very frustrating to see some of the things that go on, to play terrible essentially for 8 of 9 weeks. And then in the 10th week after turmoil, you fire your GM. You're kind of really far out of the playoff race. Oh, now we're good. Now we'll play the best game we've ever played against the Buffalo Bills, who we haven't beaten since 2022. What? So for me as a fan, I go the opposite way. I'm like, this is so annoying. Why aren't we playing like this every week? Like, why is this not who we are? But I heard it on the Pat McAfee show this morning, so I'll credit Pat McAfee. Did a GM matter that much? Was Chris Greer that poor of a general manager that the Dolphins players actually are performing better because he was fired? Is that the case? I don't know. But it's clear that it had a percentage of that must have been true. And it goes back to my Giants point about Brian Daboll. Yes, you fire the head coach, but is that absolutely what the building needs? Does the building need the head coach to be gone, the general manager to be gone, the director of player personnel to be gone, the strength coach to be gone? Like, you got to analyze the organization from every angle. It is not just the head coach that is the cause of organization turmoil. It's not. And the Miami Dolphins, though it could be a flash pan, they could be atrocious the rest of the year, finish 3-14. McDaniels gets fired, and this was just a precursor and one last, woo, we respect this guy, but his career's over here. It could be that way. It could. But at least early returns for the Miami Dolphins are whatever decision was made inside that building was clearly the right decision because the players responded with that attitude. Okay. You go to the LSU game. What's his name was fired? Les Miles, or excuse me, what Brian Kelly? Les Miles was way back fired from LSU. Nonetheless, Brian Kelly's fired. I'm not saying that those kids didn't like Brian Kelly. And they didn't win the game. They didn't even cover the spread. But there was a little bit of a different juice around that LSU football team. There was another college football team this weekend, might have been Auburn or somebody whose head coach got fired. They performed better. We saw it with UCLA after their head coach got fired. Now they've won 3 of their last 6. Like, sometimes it's the right decision, but also sometimes it's not. And maybe the Dolphins have kind of taught us here that it is okay to go after something else in the organization, not just the head coach, because other factors can lead to your team not being very good. And at least for 1 week, as a Dolphins fan, I can sit here and I can say, wow, we did it, guys. We played good football. Now, can we get into a meeting room and realize this is who we should have been? This is what our team is. This is how we were designed to win football games. Can we go do that, please? We'll find out, and we'll also see if it also needs to be a head coaching change towards the end of the season. We are towards the end of this show, which means we are roughly an hour or so away from kickoff on Monday Night Football. So we'll finish with our Monday evening quarterback and our predictions of Monday Night Football. Still so much to do here on the Rome Show on a Monday night. How exciting is that? We're back after this. See you in a second.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
Yeah, it is. Welcome back into the Rome Show here. 5 minutes left in the program, and we're taking you through week 10 of the National Football League. So let's get it going. Friendly reminder, youtube.com/the Romanellas, Twitter X, Instagram, the Rome Show 1, facebook.com/the Rome Show. On Thursday night, we didn't get a chance to talk about this. I'm not going to talk much about it. What a terrible football game. Oh my God. Terrible. The Denver Broncos beat the Las Vegas Raiders 10-7. Nothing good here. Not like literally nothing. There was like 15 field goals. The one thing I'd like to say is I don't know how real the Denver Broncos are. Listen to some of the teams they have beat in their 8 wins. Tennessee Titans, Cincinnati Bengals, New York Jets, New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, Houston Texans, and the Las Vegas Raiders. You also, the only 2 losses they have against the Chargers and against the Colts. So their 10-game sample size has them at 1-2 against teams that are over 500. They beat the Eagles 21-17 and then had those 2 losses against the aforementioned teams. I don't know how real this Denver Broncos team is at 8-2. I don't know how real it's going to be. I don't have a lot of trust right now in this team that I had 5 weeks ago. Because when you start to totality break down the 10 weeks, you're like, like it's good that they're finding a way to win. It's good that they find a way to win in the fourth quarter, but it is not good that you're beating a lowly Las Vegas Raiders team 10-7 and you're only scoring 1 touchdown. That, I don't care if it's Thursday night football, Friday night football, Monday night football, Tuesday night football. It don't matter. You should always beat the Las Vegas Raiders if you're supposed to be a potential Super Bowl contender in the AFC. The Raiders, it's over there. Pete Carroll, it's over. Geno Smith, it's over. Let's move on. We mentioned the Dolphins. That score was 30-13. Great day for Jalen Waddle, 84 yards receiving, 1 TD. The Colts, they beat the Falcons in Germany in overtime. 20 combined points in the fourth quarter between the two teams, 23 total in the second half. A walk-off touchdown for the Colts is what wins it for him. Jonathan Taylor goes over 1,000 yards on the season. Ridiculous. 244 on the ground, 3 TDs. He now has over 1,000 yards through 10 weeks. 10 weeks of the NFL season. Watch out, Jonathan Taylor breaking Saquon Barkley's record at some point in his career. Colts 8-2, Falcons 3-6. We mentioned the Brian Daboll firing. Well, what happened? Well, the Giants got outscored by the Bears 14-3 in the fourth quarter, blew a 10-point lead and lost 24-20. And also, to add insult to injury, Jackson Dart, concussion, might be out for next week. We'll see. Russell Wilson finished this game. The Giants dropped to 2-8. The Bears improved to 6-3. The Ravens 27, the Vikings 19. Don't look now, but since the Ravens got Lamar Jackson back, they've won 3 straight games. And they've scored 27 or more points in all 3 of those games. Funny how a legitimate quarterback makes your entire team better. In the last 3 games, the average points given up for the Ravens is essentially 17.5. They're giving up essentially 17.5 points a game. All because Lamar Jackson came back. One player that has a really big impact on an organization, as a team, can have that type of impact. Lamar Jackson clearly had that impact. The Ravens are back. They're 4-5 right now, and they are trending. The Vikings, though they have J.J. McCarthy back, I don't think he's that good. They lost. They're 4-5, not as good. We mentioned the Jets. It was a 27-20 win. Both teams are 2-7. The Patriots, big victory in Tampa Bay, 28-23, really starting to convince us all that they are a legitimate contender in the AFC. I think why is because they can run the rock. Travion Henderson, 14 carries, 147 yards, 2 TDs, and Drake May is playing really good quarterback. Plus, that's a defensive-minded franchise. That's a defensive-minded coaching staff with Vrabel, and they're only going to keep getting better on the defensive side. How about the Patriots? 8-2, early contender for Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. Bucks, they dropped to 6-3. We mentioned the Panthers and the Saints. It was a 17-7 victory for the Saints. They moved to 2-8. The Panthers dropped to 5-5. The Jags, very Brian Daboll of you, Liam Cohen. 26 unanswered points in the fourth quarter by the Houston Texans to defeat the Jaguars 36-29. It was a 29-3 lead heading into the fourth quarter. Davis Mills was the quarterback for the Houston Texans. And that's what you do? Are you serious, Jacksonville? Any positivity that anyone had about your team goes right out the window after that performance. The Texans are now 4-5, and the Jags dropped to 5-4. The Seattle Seahawks, they handled the Arizona Cardinals 44-22. Not much to talk about here outside of the Seahawks continue to prove to us they're a legitimate contender. The Rams, same thing. They hammered the Niners 42-26. They improved to 7-2 and continue to ask us who is the best team in the NFC West. I don't know, but the Seahawks, the Rams, battling it out right now, and it is fun on the West Coast. The Lions, they destroyed the Commanders 44-22. Dan Campbell called offensive plays on this game, and it was clearly a right decision as Jahmyr Gibbs had 3 total touchdowns and almost 200 total yards, and that offense scored on every offensive possession on this day. So whatever Dan Campbell decided to do, whatever adjustments he decided to make in terms of play calling, clearly worked, and this Lions team is freaking dangerous. Finally, the Chargers 25, the Steelers 10 on Sunday Night Football. Big win for the Chargers because both teams looked atrocious offensively until about 3 minutes left in the second quarter, with which the Chargers then scored 23 unanswered before the Steelers were able to put 7 up on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. The Steelers, they imploded. They had an interception go off of some dude's hand. They fumbled a punt that went right into the Chargers' hands. Like, it was a bad day for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it was a great, ugly win for the Chargers, which I got to imagine they want a lot of this season. 7-3, the Chargers are 5-4, the Steelers. Before we give you Monday Night Football, Eagles versus Packers, we'd like to take you through the NFL standings really quickly. In the AFC East, it's the Patriots at 8-2, then the Bills at 6-3. The Steelers still lead the AFC North at 5-4, but on their heels are the 4-5 Ravens, like I talked about with the Bengals. if Joe Burrow could come back, they are still in the fight. The Colts are 2 games better than the Jags in the AFC South with an 8-2 record. In the AFC West, led by the aforementioned Denver Broncos, how serious, I don't know. And the Chargers are right on their heels at 7-3. In the NFC, the Eagles lead the NFC East by 2.5 games. Now 3, heading into Monday Night Football, 6-2. Cowboys on their heels at 3-5-1. The Packers, they lead the North, but only because of win percentage. If they lose tonight, then the Lions will lead the North. That is the tightest division right now. The worst team is 4-5. Then you have the Bears at 6-3, the Lions at 6-3, and the Packers at 5-2-1. So a lot to be decided there. The NFC South, 2 bad losses for the top 2 teams, the 5-5 Carolina Panthers and the 6-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So nothing really changed there. The Falcons are no longer really a contender. And then as we mentioned, the NFC West is stupid good. Niners are 6-4, Rams are 7-2, and the Seahawks are 7-2. Tonight you got the Eagles going up against the Packers in Lambeau. The Packers are actually favored in this game by 1.5 points. I'm going to start by telling you, I'm taking the Eagles at the plus 1.5. I think the Eagles are just a better football team in general, but the Packers, much like the Denver Broncos, I don't know how much I trust them. Like, certain things happen with this football team that I'm like, why are we in the third quarter right now and we're kind of playing poorly? Why are we losing to the Cleveland Browns? How did we tie the Dallas Cowboys? Like, if you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, there are some teams there that it shouldn't be on your radar to be a close game, and it is. And I understand it's the National Football League, but that to me culminates in how serious is this Packers team? Whereas the Eagles have been led by a Jalen Hurts since week 7 that's got a 155 passer rating. Like, the dude's playing off the charts, okay? The biggest battle I want to see is the ground game of the Eagles versus the defensive line of the Packers. The Packers actually give up the fewest quarterback rushing yards in the National Football League at 6.6 per game. And right now, the rushing attack for the Eagles is not great from a Saquon Barkley standpoint, but is great from a Jalen Hurts standpoint. What culminates in that running attack? Because the Eagles, their bread and butter has to be ground game first, then pass game. Though they have the supplicant receivers to make them really good and the quarterback to play that way, if they run the football really well, their whole offense is opened up and they're really freaking good. For the Packers, it's like, yo, can we get offensively on the same page early? Can we play a complete 60 minutes? You can't beat this Eagles team if you cannot play a complete 60 minutes. That's why the Eagles are good, because they always feel like they have a chance to win. No matter how bad or good they're playing, they find a way. Kind of like what we were just talking about with a few other teams. But with the Eagles, they have Super Bowls to back them up. So I could watch them play poorly for 3 quarters and still truly believe in them as a team to win this game. So I'm going to take the Eagles at the plus 1.5 on the road in Green Bay because I think they're good enough, and I need the Packers. I need the Packers to show me they can play a complete 60 minutes. SCC Baseball writes in, Rome show in the afternoon. Let's go. Absolutely. What we've been doing for the last bunch of weeks is we've been doing a Monday evening Rome show special to get you ready for Monday Night Football, which I hope we have done a good job of. We'll be back tomorrow morning, however, 7:05 a.m., breaking down Monday Night Football and giving you our top 5 teams in the National Football League. Plus, the NBA is cooking right now. The Detroit Pistons have won 5 straight. The Oklahoma City Thunder have started exactly where they left off last year. You haven't seen LeBron James play yet this season for the first time in 20 years. And it is really starting to heat up. So we'll have to talk a little NBA, some NHL, and all of that good jazz. So tune in tomorrow at 7:05. Andrew Romanella, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. The Rome Show. Subscribe, like, whatever. Share with a friend. See you tomorrow. Peace.
It's the Rome Show. Thank you for listening.